The logic of waste was the spark. The waste of lives, potential, resources, time.
How's it going out there, everyone? This is W.F.S, your doctor here today. And before we get into the video, I just want to wish all of you a Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, or whatever your holiday you're celebrating. I wish you the best for you and your family this season. It was an incredible Christmas for me and my family, and I hope you had a blessed time with yours. But now, let's get into this video about Star Trek, Starfleet Academy. Is it illogical to waste resources, people, time? Now, maybe I'm taking the statement he made to Spock in the alternate universe out of context, but I seem to think that that is exactly what the problem is with modern-day Star Trek. They had the opportunity for over a decade to create something so special, and when the audiences started rejecting it, did they listen? No, they doubled down on it. And when the audience still was having a hard time with it, they just added more. It's almost like they were desperately trying to destroy what everyone had come to love and cherish over the years. And it really does surprise me how some people defend it while at the same time arguing that, yes, it's got problems, but it's still good. It still represents Star Trek. But does it really represent Star Trek? Look at this article here. Star Trek Starfleet Academy Orientation, the State of the Galaxy, and the Rebuilding of the Federation. Basically, Starfleet Academy, and we've discussed this time and time again, but we do need to continue. That way I can drive it home to people to be very skeptical about what Starfleet Academy is. Alec Kurtzman, a long time ago, made it very clear that Star Trek, he wasn't that interested in making science fiction, but using this legacy franchise as a platform to promote specific agendas. Fine, you want to do that, but look at what happened here. Not only in the real world did you destroy the fan base of Star Trek, but you had to go out of your way to destroy the fictional world of the Federation. And Starfleet Academy is supposed to take its start up, and again, we've talked about it, but Starfleet Academy is supposed to start up right after Star Trek Discovery in the 32nd century. And they are rebuilding the Federation because the burn destroyed all the dilithium, but the crew of Discovery found enough dilithium in the galaxy to at least get the Federation back on its feet. So this show is supposed to take place after the dilithium has been found, and it's going to be the reformation of the Federation, connecting all the worlds together again that they had lost contact with because they lost warp drive. But the question that I have to ask in all this is, was this really necessary? Why was it so important to destroy the Federation? Were the writers out of ideas? No way to bring the Federation to a better place. We had to tear it down so we can rebuild it in our own image. It was a beautiful universe. It was a beautiful society. Yes, it had its different views, its different philosophies, but it was all joined together under the belief that they could unite and form a better union. When I think about Starfleet Academy and Star Trek Discovery, I honestly feel like the showrunners decided to borrow, or as some would say, rip off, ideas from another Gene Roddenberry series, Andromeda, where Captain Dylan Hunt and his crew tried to rebuild the Commonwealth of another version of the Federation. And if I remember the series correctly, they started out rebuilding it, and then eventually something happened to destroy it, and he was able to travel through time to repair the damage. I think it happened more than twice in the series. The show had some very good ideas to it, but the premise behind it was very simple. Their version of the Federation, the Commonwealth, had collapsed, And Dylan was trying to rebuild it, reestablish the planets, and get the Commonwealth back to what it was, or at least another version of it. And this is where they're trying to get their ideas from. This is where I feel Starfleet Academy came from. Not from any ideas about seeing cadets going through the paces in a Starfleet universe. No, it was about rebuilding Starfleet in their image. Dylan was rebuilding the Commonwealth under what he perceived as the proper views and values of the Commonwealth. A government, a galactic government that had been around for, I think, hundreds of years before its collapse. So it was going to be rebuilt under his views, his morality, his code of ethics. This is what they're going to try and do with Starfleet. So Starfleet Academy is going to be the show that repairs the Federation and reunites all the planets, right? Supposedly it's going to be bringing us back to the good old days of the Federation under its classic charter of seeking out new life and new civilizations, and probably honoring the prime directive of no interference. But the problem that I have is, whose standards is this modern day version of the Federation going to be set for? In other words, what views, what values are going to be established as the modern day status quo, everything that's acceptable for Star Trek? Who is setting the standards for this? Are they going to go by the Gene Roddenberry views and values of what Star Trek and the Federation is? Or are we going to get the Kurtzman views and values of what Star Trek is? As I've said before, Kurtzman decided to use Star Trek as a platform to promote messages rather than promote good storytelling. And just so you know that I am not the only one out there who has issues with this show and what has happened to Star Trek and the Federation, there's been quite a few YouTubers out there who have made claims or rather comments, negative comments about it, because they find stuff like this offensive. Like one of my favorites, The Critical Drinker.
Fucking hell, man. This is it, ladies and gentlemen. This right here is the absolute state of Star Trek. I mean, props to the showrunners on this one. Normally, there's only one morbidly obese woman on the bridge of your average starship these days because physical fitness standards are a tool of the patriarchy, or fascism, or I don't fucking know, whatever the word of the day happens to be. But they truly have upped the stakes by doubling it here. And oh boy, did they double it. I bet the replicators have to work overtime whenever you ladies waddle into the mess hall, eh?
I don't want this to be another video that just totally rips apart one show just because it's fun to rip it apart. I want it to be some honest intellectual discussion over this topic. The Federation had a long history of building relationships with other planets and incorporating them into their great government. And what Discovery did and what Kurtzman did was tear all that down so that they could rebuild Star Trek in their own image.
Nobody leaves paradise. Everyone should want to be in the Federation. Hell, you even want the Cardassians to join. You're only sending them replicators because one day they can take their rightful place on the Federation Council. You know, in some ways, you're even worse than the Borg. At least they tell you about their plans for assimilation. You're more insidious. You assimilate people, and they don't even know it.
Okay, so what if I am wrong? What if a couple of other people out there are wrong too, and that there is no political agenda attached to Starfleet Academy? They just want to do good storytelling. The question that needs to be asked in all of this is, if that is true, why is it so necessary to deconstruct something that has been established and that everyone loves so much? Why deconstruct it to rebuild it in another person's image? there can only be one possible reason for that if political correctness is not the answer. It's because we have an ego problem and we want the world to see things the way we want it to be done. Yeah, I know that could be a sign of political correctness, but I don't think so. Each of us have their own ideas of what the world should look like. But if that is true, and we're doing this based on what we think the world should look like, or why some people think the world should look like, why is it so necessary to destroy something that so many love? And Star Trek is not the only one that's been destroyed from all of this nonsense. Doctor Who, Star Wars, the list goes on and on over the constant deconstructing and rebuilding of things just because we don't like the way it was done before. The one thing about the show that's got a lot of people so excited is the fact that this thing is only going to last 2 seasons. At the end of the 2nd season, Starfleet Academy is over, it's done, and Alec Kurtzman is over and done in his storytelling. Now, while we've talked about Starfleet Academy, we're going to talk a little bit about the final season of Strange New Worlds. Now, you know, the 4th season hasn't aired yet, and that's going to give us 10 episodes, but they have finished shooting the final season of Star Trek Strange New Worlds. The 5th season will only have 6 episodes, but what puzzles me about this 5th season is the fact that they are introducing 2 new people to play classic characters. Now, you and I all know that sooner or later, they were going to pull more characters over from the original series over to the Strange New Worlds series. And lo and behold, we have Dr. McCoy and Sulu, who are about to board this version of the Enterprise. So I'm not going to go into the actors who are playing McCoy and Sulu. My main question in all of this is, you've only got 6 episodes left in the final season. Season 5 only has 6 episodes left, and you've decided that you're going to introduce McCoy and Sulu into the mix. And the only possible reason that I can think of for this to happen is you are hoping that this 5th and final season will be the big play that you have to save this and spin it off into a new series that'll allow the new version of Kirk and crew to begin to start their journey. But I think it's becoming very clear to all of the executives at Paramount and Skydance, as well as to all of us out here who are begging Skydance and Paramount not to let this thing go beyond the final 5th season. We don't want any more of this version of Star Trek. We want, if you're going to continue Star Trek, we want a complete reboot. We want to start from the beginning and refresh and clean up all the damage that has been done. Well, I would love to know what you think of these developments regarding Star Trek. Please drop those comments below and let me know. Until the next time, my friends, God bless.